He was once the most feared man in Europe, a man whose presence could silence kings and shake entire nations. Armies marched at his command. Borders changed because of his decisions. And for years, it seemed as if nothing in the world could stop him. His name was Napoleon Bonaparte. But history does not only remember how powerful a man becomes, it remembers how he falls. And Napoleon's fall would come in a single battle. Napoleon was not born into greatness. He was born on a small island called Corsica, far from the centers of power. He did not inherit an empire. He built one. Through intelligence, discipline, and unmatched military strategy, Napoleon rose quickly through the ranks of the French army. In a time of chaos after the French Revolution, he brought order and victory after victory followed him. Soon, France was no longer just a country. It was an empire. And Napoleon was not just a general anymore, he became emperor. At his peak, Napoleon controlled much of Europe. Kings feared him. Alliances shifted because of him. Entire nations changed their destiny because of his campaigns. He believed in logic, strategy, and unstoppable willpower. And for a long time, he was right. But power has a silent enemy. It does not attack from outside. It grows from within. And slowly, Napoleon's confidence turned into something far more dangerous: ego. After years of war, Napoleon began to stretch his empire too far. Battles became more difficult. Enemies became stronger. And Europe began to unite against him. Eventually, he was forced into exile. For most leaders, this would be the end. But Napoleon was not like most leaders. In 1815, he returned. Not as a defeated man, but as a man determined to reclaim everything he had lost. Europe responded immediately. Armies were gathered. Plans were made. Because they knew if Napoleon rose again, the continent would fall into war once more. And so, everything led to one final confrontation. On June 18, 1815, near a small village in Belgium called Waterloo, history waited quietly. The battlefield was cold. Rain had fallen heavily the night before, turning the ground into thick mud. Napoleon's army was tired but experienced. Across from him stood the Allied forces led by the Duke of Wellington and Prussian commanders. This was not just another battle. This was the battle that would decide Europe's future. Napoleon believed in speed and precision, but the weather delayed his movements. Time was no longer on his side. As the morning passed, the battlefield came alive with cannon fire and marching soldiers. Napoleon ordered attacks with confidence. Wave after wave of French soldiers moved forward. But the muddy ground slowed everything down. Cannons sank into the earth. Soldiers struggled to advance. Still, Napoleon believed victory was near. But then, something unexpected happened. The Prussian army began to arrive. Step by step, the balance of the battle started to shift. By the afternoon, the battlefield had turned into chaos. Smoke filled the air. Commands were lost in the noise of war. And Napoleon's once perfect strategy began to fall apart. He tried to adapt. He tried to hold his ground. But the situation was slipping beyond control. His forces, once unstoppable, were now exhausted and overwhelmed. And slowly, the truth became clear. This was no longer a battle he could win. As the sun began to set, Napoleon's army collapsed. The man who once ruled Europe now watched his empire fall in real time. There were no miracles, no last-minute recovery, no escape from reality. The Battle of Waterloo ended his reign, not slowly. Not gradually, but completely. After Waterloo, Napoleon was forced into exile once again. This time, there would be no return. He spent the rest of his life far from the world he once controlled. The Emperor of Europe, now only a memory in history books. Napoleon was not defeated only by armies. He was defeated by timing, by circumstances. And perhaps most importantly, by the belief that he could not lose. History often celebrates greatness, but it teaches lessons through downfall. And Napoleon's final lesson is simple. No matter how powerful you become, no one is above the turning point of history.